Hello, my name's Louise Fitzgerald and I've written 3 poems for My City and Me, and I'm just going to talk to you briefly now about how I came around to writing them and the themes and what inspired me. And I'll start with the first, which is the heart of our community. And I started to think about a local community near me, and there's a particular local community library run entirely by volunteers near to where I live, and I use it so much. And I noticed how on every day of the week it has a different activity for anybody that wants to go in and use the space for free. And I thought it was a really lovely thing to offer a local community, and I really hope that all communities have the opportunity to offer that. And normally it's in a building that's quite small and humble, and that's when I started to think about the heart of our community being a very simple building, but what it offers is priceless. And that's what I started to think about, how that made me feel when I went into the building that's near me. The second poem I wrote was called A Bird's Eye View. I also work a lot in a big city near me, and I notice more and more when you're on the trains and the tubes and the buses and the stations that adults in particular are very often completely glued to their phones. And I started to look around and noticing that people don't look up very often. They don't smile. They're all trying to get to work or get to wherever they've got to go. So I started to challenge myself when I walked along the streets, and it was safe to do so, that I would look up. And of course, the second you look up, you start to see lots of great things you would have missed otherwise. And in particular, all the birds. And I wondered what the birds would think of us walking along these streets, along the grey pathways and pavements. And when I notice children are always playing and looking up and looking around and finding and using their imagination to play. And I love the contrast between that. So I started to think about what a city might look like if birds were to comment on what they saw. And that's what I started to write, A Bird's Eye View. For my third poem, Can We Have a People-Friendly City, Please?, also came from a time where I've worked with communities and theatre companies when I've worked with different people, and how important it is to have an inclusive environment. And by that I mean to have a place where everybody's included, no matter their abilities, no matter their needs and their likes and dislikes, their ages. And I thought it was really important that I have a city that's not far from me that actually does that very well. But when I found the fact that half of all people on earth live in cities, it made me think that not all cities probably offer the same opportunities. And it made me think of the kind of city that I'd like to be living in, and for everybody in the community around me. So I started to write what made me feel quite passionate. And when I write, I always read my work aloud. So I always think about how the drive or the rhythm or the character might speak, and I put that into the poem. And I never thought I was a poet. That's true. So it's really nice to be able to put things on the page and think that you're now reading these poems. And I hope that you have fun reading them. And when you read them how you want to read them. They're your words when you start to read aloud. And if you write, I hope that you write things that you're passionate about or things that you want to talk about. And that, for me, is really important when you're exploring poetry. It's your words, it's your voice, and therefore it matters. Thank you.